Welcome to another episode of Exceptional TV with me, your host, Alex Granger. Today, I get to have a conversation with Thuli Zulu, a communications expert and the founder of Crea8 International. Welcome to Thuli Zulu. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. After all the confusion of where to park your car, how to get into this place, and all the security people.
It feels like just navigating through this place is just like a mammoth task. I was like, am I going to get to where I'm going?
I was reading your message, like, just so much pressure. What did you say? Let me just see what you said. You said all these weird things in your message.
Alex.
Yeah, because you did, and it's nice to actually see what you said.
You're going to read my message?
And I'm just going to read the one that really intrigued me. What did you say? Such a process. That was funny. Such a process, you said.
Life is a process.
But life is a process. Like, yeah, I did a conference the other day for a leading bank, and also to get into the bank, the security guards, like I was like held hostage. They took my phone because I wanted to read the email, and then they disappeared with my phone. And I was like, I wonder who you're phoning now.
Exactly. Your guard said, we can't just let you in because we don't know if you're going to kill this person.
Yeah.
I said, no, I bring life, not death.
Anyway, so who is Thuli?
Who is Thuli?
Yeah.
That's such a...
Like, I mean, I know you for like how many years?
We've known each other.
Yonks.
For yonks,
like, I think she's probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think different people know me in different facets.
Yes.
So it's always interesting when I get that question is, who are you?
So who do you say you are?
Who do I say I am?
Yes.
I have very descriptive words to describe me. I am...
all the adjectives you can use.
My full name is Nicola, so I always believe in the pronouncement of a name. Yes, that is my full name. People think I'm Thulisile, Thulile,
yes.
You know, but it's shortened for Nokutula, which means peace.
But why you say Nokutula? Why didn't you say Noktula? Like
Nokutula, because I have to, like, when I'm like pronouncing it.
Version. But when you speak Zulu,
when we Zuluize it, you know, we just say Noktula, you know, but Noktula, yeah, so Noktula Zulu. Okay. I won't say my middle name. We'll save that for another day. No.
So we'll have to book you for another interview.
Just book me for another interview, yeah. But I'm Nokutula Zulu, you know, Nokutula Zulu. And I am a communication specialist, but also quite eclectic in that I've navigated between the broadcasting world and the commercial worlds, as some people know.
Yes, I know you from radio.
Yes.
In that life.
Radio and my TV life.
Yes.
Still is incorporated. I'm just behind the scenes now, not so much in front. But yeah, I think like communication is the thrust and the epicenter of who I am, and I have all these different mediums that I then, operate from.
Cool. You're running your own thing, or you involved with other businesses?
Yes, I'm running my own thing.
Partnerships, collaboration stuff?
Always. I believe in conscious collaborations all the time. So I run a company called Crea8 International.
Crea8. Okay, yes, I know that one because I know the logo.
Yes.
I like the logo.
Yes, quite an outstanding logo.
Okay.
So it's just a creative coalition of different freelancers and consultants that we've come together from the continent.
Right.
And we just basically bring African ingenuity to clients' communications essentials. Awesome. But quite dynamic. Awesome. They are left and right brainers. So I was quite fortunate to have a team that, is got a substance of the continent.
But you're an all-brainer though.
Well, we are left and right brainers.
You're a bit crazy.
I am in a good way. You have to be crazy.
You have to.
You have to be crazy to do radical things.
Now, I know you share a passion of mine. Besides the speaking and all that stuff. You love to travel. Yes. I remember we last bumped into each other at the airport. Like, where are you coming from? And we checked out. You're coming from? Where Portugal?
I was coming from Portugal.
You were in Portugal.
I was in Spain and Portugal.
Okay. Yeah. So we came in from Paris, which was so cold.
I know.
And bumping into at the airport, but you just couldn't get off the phone though.
Oh, when I was
you
there?
were on the phone. At the airport, you couldn't get off the phone. You were on the phone all the time.
Something was lost, like a bag or something. I don't know. So
Probably.
I was trying, or somebody was coming on the next flight. My cousin.
Crazy. Yeah. So I'm interested in, because I went to your Twitter profile, and one of the words that captured my attention was transformation. What does that mean for you?
Sure.
How would you define it in your world of work? Because I think it means different things to different people. You know, some people, the moment you say transformation, they think black entitlement or black excellence or black opportunity. Some people will think of change in the working environment. How do you define transformation?
Sure, it's quite interesting, hey? The things we like put out into the world. as how we represent ourselves. And I think you're right, it is such a big term, and shrouded with so many different nuances, especially in this country. So transformation in the context that I have it on the platform that you saw it on is more about personal development, but it's something that I've been able to kind of like transpose into my work life from a transformational aspect. So for me, I would say it's the process of radical change.
Radical. Now, you know when you say radical.
The process of radical change, and it is radical change because I think it lies in, especially in this country, within the context of South Africa, when you think of the word transformation, we're thinking of performance scorecards, you know, we're thinking of it from that kind of an ambit or school of thought. And also, it's been quite an uncomfortable term. Like when you say transformation, diversity, people already have the preconceived notions.
There's racial stuff, there's diversity, inclusion, and all that comes to play.
And I think because it lies in the roots of imbalance, you know, and injustices and discrimination and inequality, you know, within the frame that previously disadvantaged people didn't have the opportunities that they have right now. But I think it goes further to that in the stream in which we're living in this current day and age, because the world is converging and it's merging. Transformation doesn't just only speak to human capital, it speaks to also technology now, which has become like a whole new revolution on its own. Imagine in terms of disruption, incorporating that into our streams, process mapping. And I mean, I speak for Crea8 International, where we're a very agile entity, like I told you. So it's quite, they're called loosely coupled organizations.
Loosely coupled organizations.
A loosely coupled organization is an organization that...
Because you speak so fast and you're saying so many deep things, we're almost going to have subtitles for this episode. Because and I really like what you're sharing, you know, because in my mind I've always grappled with the idea or the difference between what is change and what is transformation. Are these two exclusively mutual, or are they inclusively mutual, or is there a difference?
Definitely inclusively mutual, because part of transformation speaks to change management, to diversity, to organizational management, to all these different themes. So it's a subset within the transformation pool. So you're absolutely right, they work concurrently together. But you can't have change until you understand the mindset and the behavioral outputs of the people that you work with. And that's why I'm saying, like, my organization, we don't sit in an office 8 to 5 every day. We do have an office space, but a lot of the people I work with are distributed out of field. And I think the world is moving towards those type of organizations now, where we are procuring time and skills. So you look at the Ubers of this world. It's not, they don't own taxis, but they are...
But the amount of money they're making.
But the amount of money they're making. They are disrupting an industry where now they're just like, they're selling time, basically, so that you can get a taxi. And you look at organizations like Airbnb, they are not property owners, but same thing. And I think the world is starting to take on a different trajectory with transforming in terms of how we look at business.
Do you know, it's actually interesting, because obviously, as a speaker, I talk about some of these things, and it's amazing how the world is changing. You know, in fact, some people have made a career on the future of work, future of work, what's coming, futurists, new thing. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't know of a person who's called a futurist. Today, people are making money as futurists, and I've seen recently some of the transformative work that's been done globally, where in Sweden, for example, Sweden has begun to introduce or to roll out electric tar roads for electric vehicles. Right? China have got solar panel tar roads for electric vehicles, which says in the future it could be closer than we think. What's going to happen to companies like Engen and BP and Shell, who thrive on oil and producing fuel, when we're all moving to this clean thing? And then you spoke about mindset a little bit earlier. I'm always fascinated about mindset, because I always think our thoughts, you know, impact our emotions, and our emotions impact our behavior. Is that some of the work that you guys do?
Yes, we do. We do a lot of, because we're a communications entity, and we do traditional comms, but we also have what we call Crea8 People as a business unit, where we do a lot of organizational development work, internal communications, because we take it for granted that people understand what communications is, how to respond.
Because we think it's an email.
We think it's an email.
Think it's an email, then you've been communicated. But even in those...
Even in the emails, we still get lost in translation from a tone, from, emails have their own tone. So how do we come across, to understanding what your internal structure is and what you emulate to the rest of the world? Because a lot of times people negate the internal stakeholders, which are the...
It's always about the external customer, and you forget these are the guys who are going to deliver the service to those people on the outside.
Absolutely, but your internal staff members and your internal co-workers are the people who represent your brand on a daily basis, whether directly or indirectly. And that's the type of work we ultimately also focus on, the internal organizational engagement tools that we put together and methodologies to help organizations and individuals.
How do we change people's mindsets? Because I think for the viewers, right, I mean, this being a show on helping people identify their purpose, achieve their goals, the biggest thing starts with your mindset. How do we shift people's mindsets and keep them on the road of the shifted mindset? Because it's quite easy to shift them through motivation and excite them, then they get shifted, and then after 2-3 days, well, they're back to where they were. Because actually, Thuli, I heard you, it was really great while you were there, but listen, I got a really difficult boss to work for.
Absolutely, and I think for me, the how is what we need to answer, and some of the strategies that we put forward, that they should be able to have the tools and have measured. So measurement, M&E, measurement and evaluation is so important in any part of the process. And I think platforms like these are critical because you're giving people access who out of the ordinary would not be able to have access. And you're saying here are, subject matter experts, here are people who probably would be able to help you. So I think that the process of the how is what we want to be able to answer, even individually, is where do I get the tools, whether it's through coaching, business coaching, life coaching, whatever you want to kind of like, conquer. I mean, my surname is Zulu, so I always say like I'm a warrior. So life should be about what is it that we are conquering constantly.
Great grandchild of yes. Must be some connection there,
Tools are very important in getting to any type of output, because it's all great to have great talks. Then people get stuck and say, that was awesome, but how do I implement that?
And I think this is why Simon Sinek has made a success of his Start With Why, because the how is critical. A lot of people look at the what. So the what is, you heard Alex speak. What did he say? He spoke about, chase your dreams, follow your dreams, be empowered, be inspired. That's the what. When you leave that place, you grapple with the how. And Simon Sinek, Start With Why, he's converted the whole thing. He says, right, start with why. What is your purpose? What is your objective? Then how do you make it happen? It's only after you know how to do the how that you can actually say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
And I think the how speaks and answers the why.
The why.
Because a lot of people don't even know why. So people don't know what their purpose is, or people are like, I can't even identify that. So it is the precursor work that you put in as part of the how that works with the why. So we help then channel people, because that's the work I want to get into, personal development, but it's helping people understand clarity and find the clarity in knowing who they are. So once we've identified what it is that you've been struggling to even identify yourself, then we're able to give you the tools.
Okay. So, I like what you're saying, because Michael Jackson, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. In one of his songs, he says we need to stop existing and start living, which is very deep. It speaks to purpose, speaks to how, and that kind of stuff. So what's the future for Thuli? What's the future for Crea8?
Crea8 is so exciting. If there's one thing I'm really, really blessed with and excited with, is the organization that I run currently. And like I told you, we have a team from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Cote d'Ivoire, different speaking consultants within the team. And for me, it's the African ingenuity and putting Africa on the map and being able now to procure our skills to the rest of the world. Because a lot of times, I think we reinvent what's happening from the outside, and we want to come
from the West side.
From the West and remodel it. And whereas we've got so many methodologies and tools that we just have within a continent that are so unique that we want to take to the world. So we're also looking at different properties that we're owning. So it's not just, there's so many communication agencies in Joburg, and we're constantly responding to other people's wishes and what their outcomes are. And now we're saying we're looking at gaps in the market and saying through the gap analysis, here are some of the solutions that we're taking as a go-to-market strategy, be it through services or be it through some of the properties that we want to own from an IP perspective.
Sounds
and some of them are very tech savvy. Which is
and that's the future. Digitalization, digitization, because there's always a difference between those two. Is Africa ready for this? Because I know Africa is hungry for development. Whenever I travel into the continent, I find people are hungry to learn. You know, it's seldom that you'll get booked, well, at least for me, to get booked to go to, say, Nigeria to speak. But they'll rather want you to come and do a training session or to do an intervention because they really want depth of learning. It's easy to go there and do a 45-minute talk, but they want like, don't go, can you break it down?
Absolutely. I think digitization opens up a platform for people to have the access and for us to be able to exchange information without being at a place physically. So which is great, but some people are quite tactile and they want that osmosis.
Especially the old school tradition guys like me. I mean, I'm Gen X, I think.
Gen X,
I'm Gen X, after baby boomer, like I feel like I'm looking at the grave now. But we're stuck in our old ways and we sit in and we want physical contact, which is great. We want, you know, I want you in my office and have a chat. What, you want to Skype? No, can you come here? But you don't realize that actually the value is in the content and the conversation more than in your presence.
Absolutely. And we're looking at the continent right now where, as an emerging continent, technology, well, you know, cell phone, mobile technology is becoming like one of the biggest contributors to the GDP of this continent. So a lot of people are on their mobile phones. They might not necessarily, even in the outskirt areas where data, now we're looking at big data, we're looking at
IoT,
ways where we have fiber, you know,
Internet
connectivity. But the people that are engaging in those spaces and are influencers and are starting, I mean, I'm taking up a digital course right now because I was like, I need to understand and get au fait with what's happening.
And it keeps changing.
Within the environment. And it keeps on changing all the time. We take it for granted. You know, people associate digital with just social media. But there's e-commerce, there is trading, you know, there is so much happening on the internet, which becomes like access. Some people are like, I've never heard of this, but you can Google it now.
Wow.
Yeah, please make sure it's credible though, since I am a communication specialist. Half of those things.
But I must say, like, we're going to wrap it up now because I want to ask you those 3 takeaways for everyone. Like we're on set with Thuli Zulu, and I must say, one could not really box who you are, right? I know you're saying you're a communication specialist, but I'm hearing all this futuristic thinking. There's a lot of digital stuff. There's a lot of psychology in what you're doing in terms of personal development. There's also business development. There's organizational change. There's so much to who you are. So if you had to just share 3 nuggets in any one of those spaces or all of those spaces, what do you want to, just as a take-home value for the viewers, what would you like to share?
Okay, great. The first thing is it's okay to be a hybrid.
Right?
All right, which is what you just said. You described me in that. So being eclectic means you draw from different sources.
Right.
And that's why I say communications will always be my epicenter, and all my other mediums feed from that.
Right.
So I'm always very clear that whether it's broadcasting, whether it's digital, it always goes back to communication being the essence.
Right.
And there are people who are multi-gifted, and it's okay. But do focus on that one thing that will set you up. Make sure that one thing works, and then diversify from there. But there's nothing wrong with being a multi-gifted person.
Right.
So that's the first thing.
Right.
You spoke about it, finding clarity. Part of transformation is understanding who you are.
Right.
So I think a lot of people, we don't invest in ourselves.
That's a big one. We're waiting for the company to say we've earmarked you.
Yes. And it's so interesting because when I was in the market back in the days before I started my business, I used to say, when I go in for an interview, I'm also going to interview that organization because I need to know if they're in line and there's alignment with my own personal, values and my personal,
looking for compatibility.
Compatibility. And I think people always lose their power in giving the organization where they come from a point of strength, and you're not there. So I think it is important by understanding that there's always an exchange. Life is an exchange, and you bring your value. So whatever anyone else values in you is your value. And people should always realize that they bring value to whatever.
That's a big point. That's a very deep point.
Yeah. And then is there a third one?
Yes.
I feel like there were 3 points.
No, your second one was quite long. It could have been a third one, but you're almost there. But one more.
And one more, which is part of our DNA, is the word fundamental.
Fundamental.
Has fun in it.
Yes.
So have fun in your fundamentals.
Yes. It's got mental in it.
It does. Just don't go mental. But just
don't go mental while you're having fun. So much fun, you lost it.
Yeah. So, but the word fundamental has fun in it.
And that's the whole idea of experiencing living.
Yes.
As opposed to just existing.
And we talk about experiential engagements, and that's what they are now.
I love that. So how do people connect with you?
People can connect with me on my Twitter profile. I'm Thuli Zulu. I'm the same throughout on Facebook and on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn now, and we have a website called www.Crea8 International. It's spelled differently, so it's not CREATE. It's CREA8, the numeric 8, international.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're busy revising it, so
Fantastic,
exciting times.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Thuli. Thank you for coming through after all the mayhem of getting into the space, but at least you made it, and I hope I'll have you on again sometime in the future, and maybe we can catch up on how the journey's moved on.
Absolutely.
But it's really been a pleasure and very inspiring conversation with you.
So good to see you, my friend.
Guys, that's it. So it's really been great. We've had Thuli in session, and look out for our upcoming episodes with other artists and other guests. Remember to do the things that need to be done. Connect with us with all the social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with me, it's alex@exceptionaltv.co.za. Until next time.